Swearing? No? Yes?
Yeah.
Anything.
Anything you want, yeah.
All right, good.
What's up, y'all? My name is Ian Edwards, and welcome to the Soccer Comic Rant. I'm trying to see if I can remember the name of this podcast because it's been a few months since we've done it, but we're back. Got a studio full of people, but before I introduce them, I just want to say my special just came out. It's available at Comedy Central. It's called Ian Talk. So go to the website. It's in front of the paywall, so you just type it in and you can watch it. And besides that, want to hit up our sponsor, onthevolleyapparel.com. You go there, and they got tanks, tees, hoodies, sweatshirts for men and women, different styles, different shapes, different sizes. You know, go there. They can outfit your local soccer team. And use my promo code Comic Rant to get 20% off. So hit them up. They got some dope-ass gear there on thevolleyapparel.com. And let me see, where do I start? Could start with Spurs, regular, XG marks the spot. Xavier, what's the deal, fam?
How we doing, dude? It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been what? You said like 2 months, huh?
2.5, something like
There
that, right? That's when the season ended, like May?
You looking at me?
Yeah. Season. He's blind, but he's good. I'm going to introduce him. Martin Harris.
Yes, sir.
Writes for 442 magazine. Polish. I have nothing to do with that. He's also a Spurs fan. I have nothing to do with that. But he's here and he's a guest, and we're going to talk about the season that's coming up and the Charity Shield. And then my homie, I haven't seen him in a long fucking time. Straight from England, Jamaican paleface, Tony Hendricks. We've done a lot of shows back in the day together, and he's in town. Just so happened to be in town, and I was like, "Hey, come down to the podcast," and to show how righteous of a man that he is. He's a Man U fan.
Yeah.
Travels with his shirt, so just happens to have it. I met him 30 more, not 30 years ago, but he's been a comic for 30 years, and we did shows together. But now he's a screenwriter. That's how he pays the bills. And that's why he's in town. What up, Tony?
I'm good.
You good?
I'm good. Great to be here.
And great to be here?
It is.
Despite I put you, well, he's the coolest Spurs fan I know.
Really?
This guy.
Okay.
Is the cruelest.
he's
the coolest and the cruelest.
Well,
that's what we got.
You gotta be.
So what's up, y'all?
Good.
Good?
Yeah, good to be in LA. That's kind of nice. Excited now, personally, for the season, the way that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is putting together the youth.
Right.
I mean, that is good. And it's always good before the first game kicks off because it's all in front of us, right? Anything can happen. Any card can play.
My mind has gone down the road already.
Where?
We definitely need a central midfielder specifically Bruno Fernandes.
That's a fight we're having today.
Right.
I think he's going to a different town in the same country, yeah.
But there'll be room.
Yep.
There'll be room in your side. There'll be room in your side because Ericsson's coming to us.
Yeah, I just got a thing that Ericsson were making I don't know. See, that's the thing. This is why I didn't want to do a podcast before the season started because there's just so many rumors flying around and you don't know what is true. And then like journalists or some of these people who make these things, they don't care because they know people are going to click on it. They're going to get the attention for the post that they want, and that's all that matters. Is like back in the day, printing the right thing mattered, putting the right story out mattered. Now it's just like, how can I make people click this and read this so that I can keep my job and keep writing more shit?
Yes, although not quite in England because the Sun was always known for spreading a lot of transfer rumors, right? People just read it differently now because they read it online, they read it on internet. But the Sun or News of the World, remember that kind of newspaper?
Red
they
top
always had a lot of mishits in terms of transfers, and a lot of that was not true. I remember because when I used to work in the sports newspaper.
I'm not saying it
Poland,
never happened, but now for real, it's just
now it's just uncontrollable.
How are you going to believe a report? Christian Eriksen left convinced by 5-year contract offer, and it's written by the Spurs web. Well, I think they could be biased, and in the same way that you have done. Man United agree 142 million worth deals to seal signing the faithful. Again, that's
Yeah.
going to be biased the other way, right? So
Yeah, the biggest rumor today with United, and I listened to it as a matter of fact on a pretty believable podcast. Like the biggest rumor is that
This one?
no.
You said no. What you? This not believable.
Not yet. No, it will be once I say
just
it.
said
You have to allow me
I
to say
don't
it.
do transfer rumors, and he's just like, God damn.
but click on the link.
No, but the rumor is with Neymar, and that
What?
because he wants to go to Barcelona next year. So apparently he would possibly consider going on loan for 1 year for 25 million to Man U, but also they have to pay 100% of his wages from PSG because he doesn't want to play for PSG anymore.
Right.
So in order to go to Barcelona next year, he will go on a loan to Man U for 1 year.
Well, one thing about that is actually interesting is that the Old Trafford pitch does need rolling. So, he could help us with that.
Can smooth out the grass and even it out.
Especially on the touchline.
So you wouldn't want him?
No.
No,
not?
not for a
No,
year.
not.
No, I think it's disruptive I think one of the big things that's been a problem at Man United for the last 4 or 5 years
Right.
is the dressing room. And I think that the locker room, as you call it here, but is because of the fact that people have called Pogba a virus, right?
And those are racist. No, I'm just kidding, but I disagree with them.
But I think he has actually played quite well. But maybe and the reason Lukaku is going is that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer realizes he has to separate them, and if he gets rid of the lesser one, the other one will play better. I don't know. I'm making that up.
Is that your feeling? Is that like something you've been watching from afar and figured out, or just being in England? Have you heard stuff like that?
I have. I've heard it from people who are in Manchester.
Oh, yeah?
That there are reasons that, and together they were not working for the dressing room. That's how they say it. And look, Fergie used to get rid of great players because they were bad in the dressing room as far as
Including Pogba. He got rid of him. Yeah.
But he wasn't even in the dressing room.
But he had other players he could rely on. We don't.
But I think that a part of that is that look at some of the buys that are there are people who were bought because they were supposedly good players and they were going to come in and they were going to be a quick fix. Marcus Rojo is a case in point. He's not a bad player, but is he
He's
somebody
terrible.
who wants to play for United?
He's pretty terrible.
And I didn't want Paulo Dybala personally because he's
agree.
a great player, but he don't want to come, and he's proven he doesn't want to come. Otherwise, he'd have said, "Yeah, let's do it. Boom, I'm out."
Well,
He
they
doesn't
sent
want
a
to
team
come.
to England, and all they were negotiating was financial contract, like image rights and wages, and just a whole bunch of like money stuff.
Right.
And they couldn't.
But his
they just
movement,
wanted this.
when he came back from the Copa, he was like, "I'm first going to find out from Juve if they really don't want me," which that sounds immediately like he wants to stay there. He doesn't want to come to England.
Right, because I'm in America and I know they don't want you.
Right.
So how the fuck don't you know that your team doesn't want you? Like, you got to go back and talk.
Right.
They're trying to sell you while you're on vacation. Like,
Right.
where was he? Like, where can you vacation where there's no Wi-Fi now?
Argentina, clearly.
Apparently.
Well, two things about that, and then we'll go further into menu stuff about Dybala. First of all,
You don't know
two
where
concerns.
we're going. Just say what you're saying.
I'll tell you. We're going where we're going. With Dybala, first thing, he doesn't want to come, in my opinion,
Right.
and I don't think he's a good fit for Premier League. I don't think his style fits Premier League football.
What is his style?
And he's a very technical but not really strong physically player. And a lot of players, like you remember Angel Di Maria, he was a big signing from Man U.
A fantastic player.
A fantastic player who didn't fit the Premier League. Juan Sebastian Veron signed with both Chelsea and Man U, and he didn't really make it in the Premier League.
So
Most Argentinian players didn't make it in Premier League.
That's not
Aguero-
even true. That's not even true. Some of
Aguero
the
is
most
the-
famous Argentinian players played for Spurs and made
Osvaldo
Spurs.
Ardiles.
So what are you
Some of
talking
them-
about? And
Villa.
that-
Some of them
yeah.
did, but most
And
didn't.
Carlos Tevez,
Yeah.
who was fantastic,
Yeah.
although his head was screwed.
When he,
No,
was with
Tevez-
West Ham, when he was with West Ham, he wasn't that great.
No, we're
Yes,
talking
he
about
was.
football teams.
Yeah.
So when he was at
hilarious.
Man United, there's only one United. When he was at United, he was amazing.
And
But
Man
it was a short,
City?
short period of time.
Yeah.
though.
Right, absolutely.
Mascherano, he
and-
wasn't
and
great either. You
Mascher-
know, for West Ham.
Yeah.
I think he was good for
You
Liverpool.
think a guy that Barcelona bought wasn't great in the Premier League? Are you sure? Why wouldn't Barcelona buy
Basi-
Mascherano if he wasn't doing good in the Premier
Yeah,
League?
he was doing good, but overall, historically, like the Argentinian players are hit or
Oh,
miss. They're not like always hit. You know, the
you
Crespo
could
for
say that
Chelsea,
with-
same, right?
you could say
Crespo
that-
for Chelsea wasn't great.
You could.
So
Let me do you a favor. I want you to. Your back is to the camera. So
right.
like,
Wow.
yeah. So or move slide your chair.
That's a
up.
young Ian, I'm sure.
Oh
yeah.
shit!
See that?
I've never
that's,
seen
that's
that.
who I roll with.
Oh,
That's who I roll with, son.
Whoa.
That's who
For everybody
I hang
who's
with.
listening,
All right.
it's a picture with Ian with David Beckham.
Yeah,
And the guy from Galaxy.
Yeah, he was. He won with them too.
Yeah. So no, I'll tell you this: what I think so far about menu movement. I would say there could be more mess, and there is menu level of mess. And
So
and
you see what you thought he
very
was cool.
dysfunctional.
Unbiased journalism here.
Yes,
Absolutely.
very
yeah.
dysfunctional.
Facts.
A podcast that I can trust.
Martin said, "I'm going to come on a podcast that people can trust and make it untrustworthy." Great job, Martin. That's
Although listen, it can change. It can
He's
still
polarized
change. But the thing is, you start.
it can change, but you can't. You're
Yeah,
just
I
who
can.
you are.
I will. But for the start of the season, you have more question marks than answers. And the Harry Maguire signing, although it's not a bad signing, it's clearly overpriced. One Bissaka signing, not bad one, but you
Not
didn't sell
bad. Jesus.
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll
He didn't play.
see.
He didn't play one game for Man U yet. We'll
Yes,
see.
he has. You've seen the preseason. There's nothing
Preseason.
but these tackles of him sliding and getting the ball and winning the ball. Listen, I watched this guy play for Crystal Palace. He's legit. Like, if he doesn't work out, then I give up.
Yeah.
I think he will work out. No, I do.
Yeah, so what are you talking about?
I think it's a good signing. Yeah,
And
he's one good signing. But you have.
But you
still,
didn't say that a second ago.
Okay.
Maybe.
But the thing,
Then you have. Let me just finish just to prove my point. The Dybala, Lukaku drama. Then you
It's
have
not drama.
Paul Pogba, big drama. This is a huge drama. That's a big problem. It's a very disruptive
What's the
situation.
drama?
Well, he wants to leave. He wants to go to Real Madrid, and
He's not going. He's staying this year.
Yeah, but you see, it creates
drama.
tension.
Yeah, that's
It creates
problem,
tension.
yeah.
We
It
know.
creates tension. Now you have a coach who probably won't be your
But you
coach
got
at the end of the
Christian
season.
Eriksen who wants to leave you.
No, he doesn't want to leave.
What?
He doesn't want to leave.
he said the same thing that Pogba did right after the cup game.
Yes.
He turned around and he said, "Yeah, we never know. We'll be looking for new horizons."
Yes.
He said that. So that's different.
Yeah,
So that's
but
different to I want a new
well,
challenge.
Listen, man,
well, it's
I
different
told
because
you.
Pogba said he wants to play for Zidane.
Can I just say something?
He said it.
Can I just once
Yeah.
you turn the cameras on, the monster fucking Spurs fan shows up, and you are witnessing it.
I think
right
we
now.
do the Poznan now.
That's hilarious. So what were you gonna say before he cut you off with his?
Let me
Go
finish.
ahead.
I'm close to finishing. And obviously you have a coach who won't be your coach at the end of the season because he'll get fired at some point. Because he clearly is not in the same league.
First of all-
he's not in the same league. Let me finish. He's not in the same league with the best coaches in the world that are Klopp,
Not yet.
Pochettino, and Guardiola.
Who
Who
And
is?
I think,
Who is?
someone will lose patience with him eventually, and they will replace him with a bigger name for sure. I think that will happen.
All right.
And we can play this
First of all,
this
first of all,
podcast.
to that.
Tony, get him.
To that particular.
Okay.
First of all, to that particular point, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is in the same position technically that Guardiola was when he came from being the youth. In fact, he's actually got slightly more experience than when Guardiola came from being the youth coach at Barcelona into a team that was amazing, didn't have what you called the mess, and he became a fantastic coach. There's no denying
From
that.
first season
but he
on, right?
had no. But the team he inherited was a hell of a
There
lot better
was
than
nobody on that team. It was just Messi, Ronaldinho,
Right, you're right,
Xavi,
you're right,
Iniesta.
you're right.
There was nobody on
Eto'o,
that.
Ibrahimovic.
Ibrahim. There's nobody on that team.
Yeah,
I
you're
get
right.
it.
Yeah,
It's-
yeah.
it's-
It's
it's
true.
looking
He got
amazing.
lucky.
He's got
He was
lucky.
lucky.
He's lucky that great coach Pep.
That
did
was
his
like
thing.
Lukaku.
that was like Leicester,
Gea.
right? Well, no, Lukaku isn't on the team.
Yeah.
But I think that the thing is, so I think to judge in that sense, and clearly Man United have made a statement by appointing him. And there is a level of he's like a proxy, a default for Fergie. He's getting messages from, but he feels comfortable. But they have put him in because they made the mistake of bringing in Moyes. They made a mistake of getting rid of Van Gaal without giving him time to do something. And Mourinho was a big mistake.
I told you that from the beginning.
Yeah.
Well, he did better than Van Gaal, result-wise, for sure.
He did. He came second. He came second in the Premier League, and he won the Europa League. Absolutely.
And the
Charity Shield.
The Charity Shield. And what's the other one? The EFL Cup.
Europa.
No, he won the Europa and the
League Cup. Was
the
it?
League
That's
Cup.
it?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
And finished
All right.
second.
But he
Which is
finished
big.
second.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's
It was a great thing. But the fact of the matter was, we all knew he was gone in a very short space of time because his head always goes and he starts creating issues for himself. The fact is, Ollie has come in. He has reorganized a lot of the backroom staff, and the buys that he has made haven't been he's gone out to try and get these big players to really change things. His first, Wan-Bissaka, Daniel James, he has brought through, certainly in pre-season, but even at the end of last season, although it wasn't going that great, he played a lot of the young players, Mason Greenwood, Tahith Chong, and Gomez as well, right? He's given those guys a chance, and he ain't going to start with them all the time, but he's going to give them runs. And the way that
he's going to play McTominay.
He's playing really well. He's coming of age as well. He's also done a thing of saying, right, we're now going to go back to a style of play which is going to be pace-led. That's what pace-led. That's why he's getting rid of Lukaku, because he doesn't want a lump who doesn't come back. He wants someone who can do the running back and forth that they did in the old days when after Ollie left, when
Lukaku's the only lump of coal that can fit down the drain.
So he has been on this track of clearly building from the youth. All the people, they bought a 16-year-old just now because they're looking to the future in that way. And I think that but Man United realize that they can't be this club of buying in a name manager, buying in too many name players who are supposed to just perform, but who don't give a crap. Sorry, all right.
No,
give a fuck.
There we go.
Thank you. I forgot where I was.
What the fuck is going on here?
But you just resigned a bunch of them. You resigned Mata. You resigned both center backs.
I tell you why
I didn't like.
Mata? But I think that the reason he signed Mata is again because of dressing room, because of what he gives to people. I agree. He's a lightweight. He's a great player, but he's a lightweight. But clearly, he's putting things in the youngsters' heads. He shows he's a great example, and it's been done for that. That is the reason that he is still there. And he can keep Pogba. He trained Pogba when he was in charge of the youth team, and he does have a relationship with him. Clearly, he don't give a fuck about Lukaku.
And I do believe Solskjaer when he says I've never had a problem with Pogba.
Right.
I like when I hear him say and make that statement. Like I look at him and like he does mean this. And I blame ex-Man U players, and I've said this on the podcast before, and certain fans for Pogba wanting to leave. And even when I watch some vlogs, some Man U vlogs, and there's some really popular ones out there, you watch them on YouTube, and some of the things that they have against Pogba is like, we're going to get a player that doesn't change his hairstyle and doesn't dance after he scores. I'm like, that's racist. If that's the problem you have with somebody, because we've had players in England that drink, bar fights.
At Man United.
Man United
specifically
punch people up and
kick people in the
chest, and we praise them.
Right.
And a guy he's worse than all these people because he cuts his hair
on Instagram and he puts red streaks in his head.
It's like,
but if they don't want that, what the fuck is Neymar?
Well, exactly.
He's the same shit.
Right. Exactly.
But
he's the same thing. He's all about fashion, all about the cars. He was just on this damn show where he wasted I think $200,000 on just some sneakers.
He got that though.
I mean, I'm not saying that he shouldn't, but you see what he's about. You don't see Messi going into some store and buying all that shit.
You don't.
They just bring it to his house and he doesn't show.
Yeah, but I think you'll get Neymar for that 1 year because you're desperate of bringing a big name. You are. You're not in the Champions League.
No,
you're not
I
in
don't
the Champions
think-
League.
I
Well,
disagree.
let me finish. You're not in the Champions League. That's why Pogba
doesn't
want to be there.
I would love to see Neymar playing in Europa League.
Pogba wants to
see
play
that.
for big teams. He's a winner. I just talked to when Bayern was here. I met with Benjamin Pavard, and he said the same thing. Pogba is a big time player. He wants to play for the biggest trophies. He won World Cup. He was the leader of that team. So he wants to play for a better club. And simple.
He
as that.
played well in the World Cup. I don't think he was the real leader of the French team. And I think that the thing that actually allowed... I think when he was at Man United in the youth, I think that he was a really good player and he looked great coming forward. He was still like Scott McTominay last year when he was coming through. He still hadn't killed it, but he wanted to play with those big players. Scholes was still playing at the time. He wanted to play with some of those big players. When he went to Juve, who was he playing with? He was playing with Arturo Vidal. He was playing with Matuidi. And he was looking really, really good because he had no pressure on him.
No, he was playing with big players.
Right, absolutely. Whereas he comes to United and he's supposed to be the biggest player, and I think that's a problem. All of a sudden, that weight on your chest, on your shoulder.
Because listen, they know he's our playmaker. So let's mark up the people he's going to pass to, or let's mark him. But that's why I feel we need another midfielder, an attacking midfielder, so that you make teams have to choose or guess who is going to play us out of this trouble.
You have a guy like that.
Who
didn't produce, but technically he's still a big name player, Alexis Sanchez.
Who's that?
Well, Sanchez.
Who's that?
Actually, Sanchez. Let's see. I don't know. The jury's out. He may actually do well this season. You never know.
You never know.
You never know.
But that's the player.
But he's not a number 10 in that sense. The number 10 who's going to play in that, who may be better this year, because he was carrying an injury since the World Cup, was Jesse Lingard. He just didn't play well last year at all. But he's had an injury. I mean, I know this personally, friends who are close with him and his family. And
what type of injury was it?
It was a leg injury.
Did you see his Instagram feed like a couple of weeks ago? What he did?
But that goes back to the same Neymar thing. These are players today.
Yeah.
Right? What Ian was saying there, the players of yesterday, they were smoking and they were drinking.
Yeah.
But guess what? All that wasn't on the social media.
Exactly.
You could hide it. You could hide it. The only way you can notice is if that fucker was running slow on Sunday.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, yo, I think he's hungover. Now,
absolutely.
Now you literally click on the story and you're like, I saw him drinking.
Yeah.
That's why he's fucked up on Sunday.
Right.
And then as a fan, you're like, yo, that's not cool.
But also another thing of today's world is that the old days, Fergie went around, he turned up at Ryan Giggs' house and kicked all the players out from partying at the house. You know, and they were like, oh shit, we're fucked now. We can't do anything. These days,
Fergie's so
millionaires.
driven, man, to do that shit. He's like, I'm not letting anybody fuck my shit up.
Right.
Like, listen, wife, I'm gonna come home, but on the way home, I gotta stop at these players' house and make sure they ready for Sunday or whatever the fucking day it is. Exactly. And that's a coach.
Yeah, no,
that's
absolutely.
a winner.
And I think Solskjaer's got some of that in terms of the United. He wants to bring, some of the people he's brought back into the back room and everything like that are oozing Man United, and I think that makes a difference. And I think that until Klopp came, it's what Liverpool lost by the fact when they used to have what they called the boot room, which was Shankly and then Paisley and then the other guy who came through. But they were all people who had been there, so they knew they weren't changing that much. They were going through. I think it's too early to damn. And I think people have been really glad to damn United over the last 4 or 5 years because they were just glad somebody else was going to get a chance.
Right.
I personally, been supporting United since. Now I know this is longer than most of you were even sperm.
You might have been supporting United longer than he's been on this earth.
Without a doubt, without a doubt,
Yeah.
maybe even you. I'm not sure, but I mean, it was like 1969 when I started supporting them, and we would come sixth in a 2-horse race. I mean, we played some great football, but there were a lot of managers and we went through a similar thing after Busby with Frank O'Farrell, Wilf McGuinness, Dave Sexton, Ron Atkinson, and then finally we got Ferguson. And they weren't that great started, at the time. So it takes time and there's rotation and stuff like that.
My fear is the fans giving Ollie the time.
Right.
I feel like the fans are traumatized from not winning, and they're so used to winning, and the only thing that can derail this is them giving up, panicking, not letting Ollie and the team work itself out of any rough patch that happens this season. I think they'll be on board for any win, but they say they want to build, but they cannot stand. I guess when you're in England,
it's because there's a lot of younger fans who are used to and who are making their voices heard on all the social media and stuff like that.
But also, they cannot stand the pressure from other teams' fans shitting on them,
right?
And they're not used to that, and that makes them outraged. And then they strike out at the Glazers and what's his name in the Ed Woodward and his other guy and so we just need to, if we want to be great, we got to exercise patience. But I think if Ollie wants to buy himself patience, get Bruno Fernandes. That will buy us some time.
One of those somebodies, either Bruno Fernandes, or if he does go to Tottenham, depending on which way he goes. Get
Celso is already almost in Tottenham. He's 60,
I would say Eriksen would be the other option in that sense. I think that would be because I think you might have one in, one out in that sort of situation. But we'll see. I think he's going to have one more like that. And I think then that's done. I don't think he's going to get an attacker. You can't believe what you read about Mandzukic and all that. I read something about they were going to get Mandzukic and give him a 4-year contract. He's 33.
That's hilarious. Martin would love that.
Yeah, really.
He's a difficult guy too. He's a difficult guy in the locker room.
The Premiership teams. Let's let's talk a little bit about the Charity Shield, and then we'll just go through the list of we'll look at these games. Yeah, that's what we do.
Right.
So what do y'all think of the Charity Shield? Did you get to see it?
Nah, I didn't
see it. I saw it.
You did?
Yeah.
How was it?
I felt like something was missing, but it was a good game. Right. I said this ain't the Premiership,
Right.
and it's a good game, but it's like Liverpool versus. Maybe I wasn't even into watching it as much as I should have been. So maybe it was me.
Well,
but it was a
I
good
think
thing.
that's what happens a lot of the time. I think that from Man United's perspective, there were times we'd win the Premier League. Worse, the season we won the treble.
Right.
Those first few games, how can you get back to it?
Right.
It's only been a couple of months and stuff. And
Yeah.
I think that's probably, and the Charity Shield's always a bit that way.
Right.
You know, it's going to go to penalties because really nobody can be asked and let's just, get down there and just kick the ball 8 yards instead of, 35 or whatever. So I think there's a little bit of that. And the first few games of the season, people always are like, yeah, we're at the top after 3 games. And that shit ain't going to last,
Yeah.
But I think it takes time. And Liverpool and City went to the end. Liverpool went right to the end. I don't think that they can play at the level they were playing at by the end of last season.
This season?
At the beginning of it. Not the beginning of the
beginning
season.
of the season.
Your heads, I mean, are you going to be up for it in the same way? Klopp can do his best, but there are players who are just not going to be psyched up enough for that, I don't think.
Right.
But they were a better team, Liverpool. But yeah, I would say the
Charity
narrative,
Shield.
they should have won in the regular time. They had more chances, and that was this miracle save from the City right back. I won't mention his name
Why
because he used to play for my team.
Walker.
Walker.
He did save the ball off the line. And Sterling,
That was a great
even though he
save. That was
scored a
amazing
goal,
save, yeah.
he missed. I wouldn't say he missed, but he hit the post, and he had a
No, that's a
one-on-one
miss.
and a goalkeeper.
I mean, if you hit the post, it's not even called on target.
it's not even called
It's
on
not
target.
even called on target. Right? It's
I
got to
would-
actually go in.
But sometimes I want to give the player credit for even getting the shot off to hit the post. That's how it depends. It depends on the situation. If you hit the post and it was empty,
Yeah.
then but if there was pressure on you and you hit the post, I'll give you the credit for that.
But I think the most important what we've seen is those are clearly 2 best teams in England, and I think it will be a 2-horse race in this season. I don't think anybody else can compete with those 2 teams for the title.
What do you think of City's upgrades?
Rodri has to adjust to the British game. I think he still has this Spanish little bit of a mañana. He doesn't. The game was a little bit too fast for him on few occasions, but he's a very talented player, so I think he'll do well eventually.
Patrice Evra's words that first game when they put him on and then they took him off. He put him on as a substitute and took him back off again. He said it was like being in a spin dryer.
Oh, right.
It was like being in a washing machine playing.
Patrice Evra talking about himself.
About himself playing in that game. He was spinning and spinning, and he was on spin cycle and didn't know what the fuck was going on. And I think that, and even Vidic's first season, just to talk about Man United players, but you're right. It takes a year for some. Some do it a little bit quicker, or there's other things where their heads go. Maybe it's an injury, maybe it's just a move to a team. Like if Zaha was to go from Palace to Arsenal, is he going to do the same thing he did when he got to United, and just not be able to perform?
Well,
You're out of your comfort zone.
Well, that explains how bad Man U is, because Wan-Bissaka comes in and looks at home. So it's like he's already like the one thing I like about Man U this year, and I really don't concern myself with defense as much as other people, but with Maguire, with Shaw, Lindelof, and Wan-Bissaka, that is one of the best defensive starting 4s in the league. Like it's almost on. Yeah, it's better.
Too slow on the center back positions. I think Maguire is slow. You have to pair him up with Rojo. He can't play together with.
Rojo's not fast. That's my problem with Rojo.
Rojo's a loose cannon. That's Rojo.
Yeah,
but
he's a loose cannon, but he's a loose cannon because he's slow and he has to do something crazy
He does
to make
some
up.
2-footed tackles that he's lucky to stay on the pitch. I've seen
Like, where is he?
half a dozen
What
of those.
decade is he from?
Yeah, right.
Like,
He needs to watch Wan-Bissaka,
Who would
who
you play?
flies through the air
Yeah.
but gets the ball.
Yeah.
Smalling? Would you play Smalling?
No, Lindelof.
I'm not mad at Smalling.
Lindelof and Maguire.
Yeah, and then
I think
you
that's
put
the
in
right way to go.
Smalling when somebody gets injured. I'm not mad at Smalling. I think Smalling's doesn't get as much credit.
I agree.
I seen
worst-
Smalling has great anticipation. It's like sometimes he doesn't have to do anything in defense, because when somebody's trying to pass the ball to the forward or the midfielder, he intercepts it and breaks that pass up, and nobody ever even mentions that shit. It's like there's a vendetta against him.
And I think actually the same with Ashley Young. There's a lot of haters out there for Ashley
I'm
Young.
one of them.
And are you?
Yeah, you don't
Yeah,
like
I don't hate him, but he's past. Like, I remember when he was our best player, and that's not a good thing to say, but I remember when, and then now, like you gotta know how to cross the ball. You get, there's certain simple things that he he just didn't
playing on the
do
right
it.
or playing on the left. Because I actually think as a left back, he has been both in terms of commitment and heart to Man United. I think he's been absolutely fantastic.
Right.
And I think that he has shown, especially as a player who has had to convert from being a left winger to being a left back. As he's gotten older, he's gone further back kind of thing. But he'll end up in the Stretford end if he's not careful. But, you know, so I think that there are players like that who do well. But I think that, no, I think Lindelof and Maguire, they're going to have a couple of weeks to get used to each other, you know. But, you know, I mean, you talk about slow. I mean, what about Verhoeven and what's his name? Vertonghen.
Vertonghen and
going back to the season preview, because we spent too much time on the sixth team. They will finish sixth this season. So let's talk about top five.
Let's see.
Man City, and Liverpool. Unfortunately, you know, because I want the Spurs to win the title. I think it will be a two team race. They're both complete teams, really.
Sorry, I'm just doing my impersonation of Spurs.
Come on, man. Hey. Come on. You're making fun of the team that put pressure on Leicester.
The team that was in the Champions League final.
Come on, man.
Remember?
Put the pressure.
I agree.
It's Champions League final.
They usually finish behind the Gunners because they like ours. No.
Top four every year.
We're in the final. They didn't make it.
Yeah, they didn't.
They-
make it.
One thing I will honestly, and just to show that I am unbiased, some of the best games I have ever watched over my life have been Tottenham versus Man City. I have had some, over the decades, they have had some doozies, man.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, that was the same this last season as well. There were some amazing games with incredible outcomes and stuff.
I watch Spurs every weekend when the game's on because I like how they play. It's just Martin makes me hate them.
They used to be called everybody's second favorite team.
Yeah.
That's what they used to be called.
And that's how they finish in finals too.
Listen, I take Champions League final. I want to have. If they play Champions League final every year, that's fine.
Man, I forgot that they were even there because you only remember the winners. What are you kidding me?
Fine with me.
Yeah, that was you.
No, it's not.
That was
Martin,
you.
that's a
Liverpool
lie. You would not be happy to be in the Champions League final every year and not win one of them.
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
That's it. This guy.
You'd rather win the Europa League.
Not gonna happen in the near future, unfortunately. But you can have a shot this year.
Who do you got?
We already won it.
Yeah, we did recently.
You can win it again
Against the team who, you
win
did
it
beat
again.
him. Ajax, you're right.
All right, so Liverpool. Let's go Liverpool. Let's talk Liverpool. They didn't do anything. What do you think? But I don't think they have to do anything.
I think they have it. I think there will be a strong favorite after City. You know, the second biggest favorite to win the league, and I think they will pressure them throughout the whole season. I think they have a complete team. And they have what it takes to win the league. Yeah, I do.
What do you think?
The key with them is that they have Klopp, and I mean he has since they brought in Virgil van Dijk, they have been a lot more solid, and they have players who, albeit they're not Liverpudlians, who have committed to playing for that club. Wijnaldum's one of them. Milner's another one.
Yes.
You know, the two fullbacks who they bought are just genius. I just love watching those guys cross
Robertson,
the ball from
They've
one to the
changed
other.
the game.
They do, totally.
They changed the game of
totally.
football, period.
And that goal that I was going to say Iwobi, but no, Origi scored that from the corner and stuff like that. That was thinking, and I mean a lot of that has to come from Klopp. Is clearly a man who knows how to get the best out of his players, and I think he's a great manager. And I think they have some really good players. As up front, I'm never completely convinced by Firmino.
But you know what Firmino is? He's more of a defensive forward. He's like your first
he scores
line
a
of
lot,
defense.
though.
He scores enough, but he's winning the ball back for you.
Yeah, he's
and that adds a lot of value. That stops a lot of like counterattacks and shit like that. Like there's things he's doing that he might not be getting credit for that are very important.
He's like a false nine who's setting up the other guys who are going Mane going one side and what's his name going the other side and stuff. No, I get that, Salah.
Yeah.
But I mean, no, they are a really good team.
Yeah,
there's no question about that. I agree they're going to be the top two.
I'm painfully I agree. What about you?
I think they take it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean,
they got nothing else to do. If you want to, what are we going to do this year? Come second again by 1 point?
Exactly.
Like, they should want it more.
Yeah. and it'll depend on. Well, yeah. I mean, who knows? It's early yet. We'll know. Christmas time, it'll give us a good indication and stuff. It's very difficult to see City dropping off.
It's going to be them two. It's going to be. I think it's going to be them two again. But I think Liverpool take it this time. Right.
I think Naby Keita has a room for improvement in terms of his play this season. I think he will do more. I think Origi will play more.
Yeah.
Because he proves that he can. You know, like he scored very important goals for them, and I think he'll get more chances.
Yeah.
And
Oxlade-Chamberlain,
he'll be back.
It's going to be like a new.
It's
going to be like a new buy.
Fabinho should be better.
Fabinho's going to play more. So they have.
Keita suffering from that same thing of that first season that just not really quite clicking.
Yeah,
and
his start was pretty rough.
They got a couple of youth who are going to come through as well.
Yeah.
Who they
didn't buy. They got some youth.
They can always buy someone. They can. I mean, they have money. It's a rich club. They can always try to buy another young top player from Bundesliga. They can. Or from Spain, they can do that.
They play Norwich.
There was a rumor about Coutinho coming back to Liverpool. So
Coutinho leaving was one of the best things that could happen to them, and I would never have seen that before it happened. But
again, I think it's an attitudinal thing where he's going for the money and he's going for where he wants to play and stuff. He was a great player for them, but he never convinced me that he was going to be a Liverpool player. Whereas all of a sudden, Salah and Mane, those guys are like suddenly, and Van Dijk comes in one season, and everybody thinks he's just like red throughout in that sense. Got to give it to him.
Yeah,
got to give it to him.
And then I just want to talk about who they're going to play. Norwich. I don't know much about Norwich. I know they came up from the Championship. I don't know if they bought a lot of people to make up for coming up from the. Like I haven't heard much, but I don't. Their chances, they just have to survive.
It's for the birds, the Canaries. Yeah. They make good pies. They do, because the woman who owns them, she's one of the original cookbook people. She was like before Jamie Oliver. No, I'm serious. I'm serious. Have you never seen any videos of her? You could Google stuff of her getting out in the middle of the halftime in a game when they're losing, and she's going, "Come on, it's supporters," and she's giving them over the catering at that club, because we used to do stand up there.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, I'm telling you, they had the best pies. She's fantastic, but she owns the club, and she's been there.
A pie lady.
The pie lady, exactly. So she was. I'm just trying. I can't remember her name, but you can Google it and you'll find out what her name is. And she, I mean, her cookery books were fantastic. They really were. The football, there will be one of those sides that we'll have to just wait and see. Like the guys.
They had like one great season. I'm sure you remember, because I think they beat United when United won. 93.
Is this the season they got relegated? But it was a great season because they beat United
in one game.
Like 4-3 or something, right? It was amazing.
I can tell you plenty of games that we've lost 4-3. I remember the best game I remember we lost 4-3 with 5-4. We lost to Leicester that game. Di Maria scored a peach of a goal, and
we watched
Jamie
Vardy. I remember that.
Just ripped the shit out.
Oh yeah,
Jamie Vardy and Mahrez. It was but it was a fantastic game, and you're like, how the fuck did we lose that?
Yeah.
But Norwich, no, I don't remember that one. Sorry, man.
They finished 5th in the league. That was like in the early 90s. But that's not going to happen. I think right now it's very difficult for those championship sides, and you could see more teams just coming up for 1 year and going back to championship, coming up for 1 year and going back to championship. Unfortunately, that's what's happening more and more. Yeah.
So what's her name?
Delia Smith.
Delia Smith, mince pies.
Yeah, no, it wasn't even mince pies. It was just pies. But
Shake a pie maker.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I mean, we'll wait and see. But you see, it's financially worth it for teams to come up from the championship and get the parachute payment to go back down again.
Because they still get paid when they're down for like 2-3 years.
And what you don't want to do is what Wolverhampton did a few years ago, which was they came up and then they contracted loads of players, lots of mercenary players to come in.
Yeah.
And then when they went down into the champion, same salary, they're staying.
Sunderland is still in trouble.
And so then they go down. Yeah. Did you see that documentary on Sunderland?
Amazing. On Netflix.
Have you not seen it?
No.
Yeah.
I told you about it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. First of all, it's got a brilliant theme tune, but it's like 6 episodes of
inside the club
of how much it means.
What network is it on?
It's on Netflix.
Netflix, all right. I'll check it out.
And it's a fantastic documentary, especially because it's about a side who are just trying to stay away from relegation. Having been, back in the 70s, they won the FA Cup, beat United.
Yeah, actually, they just got relegated in the documentary. It's like the one season of their existence. They just got relegated from the Premier League, and like you see their hopes that they'll fight for, to going up. But they're actually
the season is in the championship.
But they end up being relegated from championship.
Oh
in the end.
Shit!
So you see the demise.
No spoilers though. Yeah, but it is. But it is. It is.
On level even of like catering people, you know, like you see their dramas.
Yeah,
you know, like
no, it's true. You do, and you see the people in the pubs singing hymns and all this kind of thing because that's their life. They have nothing else. It's an old shipping town and stuff. So it's shipbuilding town. I mean, it's a great documentary. It's worth watching, and it has one of the examples of what's wrong with football in there. With what was the guy? It was a guy who used to play at City, didn't he? Rodman? Not Rodman. Something.
Redmond.
Rondon?
Redmond.
No.
Rodwell.
Jack Rodwell. So he was on Premier League
Yeah.
fees. He was on getting paid Premier League wages.
Big money, yeah.
Took an injury and didn't play for the season.
For like 2 years.
For 2 years,
For
right.
2 years,
So he didn't play for 2 years and stuff.
Was
and
he
they
really
said,
injured or was he
"Oh,
fucking?
He couldn't give a shit.
Right.
But he didn't want to renegotiate his contract.
Because he was
and
getting
they
paid.
couldn't buy anybody.
And they
That's
said,
why.
said, listen, please just end the contract kind of thing, you know, so we can at least get you off the wage bill, even if they had to pay out to get him off the. But he wouldn't go. He's like, nope.
Because this is the money for the rest of my life.
Right.
And I'm not going to make any
It's
money.
the
I
Gareth
got
Bale.
kids.
I'm going to go play golf for this money.
And he didn't play for like 3 years at all. And
right.
he didn't play even if you could play.
I think, what's his name? Richardson? What was his first name? Not Kieran, but Richards. He used to play for Man City. He was on the Villa books for the last few years.
Mika Richards.
Mika Richards.
Not playing.
Yeah, now
just
he's a
making
pundit.
money.
Yeah, he's a pundit now.
He's released now.
Yeah.
I don't know how they got to release him now.
He's
and
a
they couldn't
pundit.
do it
He's just a
before.
journalist.
But what happened
not-
with Wolverhampton is
Yeah.
they left the Prem, they went into the Championship,
Yeah.
they had to go into the third division to release the contracts to get rid of the people. They had to almost go into bankruptcy. But it's the best thing they've done.
Oh.
Look at what they're doing now with Nuno De Santo as their manager.
Right.
I mean, they are like just. I mean,
know.
he just bought Portugal, didn't he, or something?
Yeah.
You know, brought him in.
They beat United twice, I think, last season.
You'll notice.
Now, the truth of the
there's
matter
a
is, he's
theme.
got a lot more facts in his head about what they did to Spurs. and
They
who
beat us still once.
and who
Yeah, they
beat
beat us.
Spurs.
They beat
You'll
us.
never hear
They beat
him.
us.
No, you'll never
They
hear
did.
it. They're
They
never
beat
going to
us
come
once,
out.
yeah.
They're never going to come out.
It's your job to find out.
They
What
did.
do you think about West Ham who's playing Man City on Saturday? What have they done anything? They sold.
Yeah,
Well,
West Ham. They bought some very, very talented young center back. I forgot his name, but he's like a future.
And they sold Arnautovic.
Arnautovic, yeah.
They got rid of him to
You know
China.
that you were.
Oh.
There was a rumor that you were interested in bringing him to Man U, Arnautovic.
Yeah, but it was written by dickheads like you.
Yeah,
who
Gonzalo.
work in newspapers. you know, who were
guy right
making
there.
clickbait.
Gotta go
No. Yeah, I don't think that was ever going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think so
that was
either.
ever going to happen. In the same way that he's getting rid of and buying the youngsters, that was never going to happen.
How much did they sell him for?
Arnautovic? I don't know.
Like I think like 16 mil or something like that.
60.
16.
But that's the thing. They could have sold him for 50 mid-season to China. It's like, and I was for them doing that. That guy, man, get the fuck.
Yeah, but he kind of disrupted the value
That's
of
it.
himself
Yeah.
because he made them desperate.
That's why they should have
move
just
him, yeah.
sold him. They should have just sold him and took the money.
Because he didn't want to play there. He didn't want to play there.
He didn't want to play in China.
No, he didn't want to play
Right,
for
so
West
they
Ham.
should have.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. West Ham should have just sold him mid-season, made the 50 mil,
But it's
and
not as easy as that.
reinvested.
Have you never played Championship Manager on the computer? You know, if a player doesn't want to go, you know, you can release him. You can.
But I thought he wanted to go
Well,
to
I
China,
don't know.
and he was.
Clearly
That's why he
not.
was pissed at them.
Clearly not. I
No?
don't know. I don't know what the situation was, but I know that he was disruptive. Never mind to his own deals and stuff. He was disruptive in the dressing room, and that's
Yeah.
why they wanted him. I mean, Pellegrini's still there, and
He's
you
a good
know,
coach.
he's a good coach. He's a good coach if he's got. And you know, West Ham, they got great support. The problem for them in terms of the support, and it's back in the day when they were at Upton Park. When they were in this little, I mean, it was like this box. It was one of them old stadiums where the noise, people fart, and you're like, Jesus, what's that? You know, I mean, it was really, really loud. And to move to the Olympic Stadium, where it's like, and there's places in Italy that are like this as well, where, first of all, the rake of the audience, of the spectators, is really a low and slow kind of rake. And you've got the whole of the running pitch between you and them and stuff. So there's very little atmosphere to.
Right.
So that's hard to kind of replace.
Can't they fix that? All this modern technology, can't they fix
They've
that?
brought some of them. Well, you can't move the whole grandstands. Although if you've ever been to the Olympic Stadium, they probably could. It looks like Lego, you know.
oh,
but
yeah.
but yeah. Anyway, I mean, I think they've tried to do that, but they could do okay. I mean, I think West Ham. You know, disagree with me if you like. I think they're still always going to be a mid-table team. I don't think they're
upper
gonna
mid-label team.
Yeah,
table team.
mid.
Mid.
If you
They have
put
great
it in
goalkeeper.
three, they'll put it in. They're going to be in the middle somewhere.
They had goalkeeper of the year, of course, Polish guy Fabianski. When he won
Fabianski, yeah, exactly.
He likes.
They used to call him Floppy Hensky when he was at Arsenal, but he really played very well for them. So they moved Adrian. Adrian signed as the second goalkeeper for Liverpool today.
Fabianski was
that
a
right?
goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Is that right? And Adrian had some good games. He wasn't a bad player.
No, but since Fabianski came to the club from Swansea,
How old is Fabianski?
He's 34.
But that's not bad for a goalkeeper.
No, he's always been a good goalkeeper. I've just heard his name forever.
Yeah. No,
Buffon still plays. He signed a new contract with Juventus, 41.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Still trying to win Champions League.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to skip Man City because we discussed Man City, right?
And they are also.
I want to say something about Everton though.
But we're going. Are we there yet? Yeah, I guess we are. Go ahead. Everton, Crystal Palace.
There was one shocking transfer for me. There were some very good transfers. There were some transfers that didn't happen, but there was one shocking transfer that blew me. Like really, I was like, wow.
When they got rid of Sam Allardyce.
No, when Moussa Keane
from Juventus
signed with Everton, I'm like, first of all, why the hell Juventus is selling him? The guy is 19 and he's super talented. He's a really huge talent.
He scored 5 or 6 goals in 13 games.
Yeah, he was scoring goals. He was playing very, very well for them. He plays for Italy. He was fans' favorite. Very young player, very talented. And why is he going? That's the first part.
He's a fan favorite. Why did they get racially abused?
Yeah.
No, but is that how you call a fan?
well, apparently they've changed their strip this season. They're just going to play in white.
I know, right? I'm surprised they got black on that thing.
Yeah. But that's the first part of why I was shocked. The second part why I was shocked, why Everton? You know, like this guy's a legitimate big time
stepping stone into the Premier League, I think. And if somebody's interested on you, I think
he's better than that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he may well be, and I agree with you. But he's young. And, in the same way that people go, well, let me get out of here. Let me go to a team where I can shine and I will 100% get a game. I mean, that was the argument for a lot of players to come, for De Ligt to come to United rather than going to Juventus. Actually, it was rather than go to Barcelona. Was that he wants to get a game and he wants to play. And I think that's probably the same thing with Keane, which, of course, was the argument for Pogba going to Juventus at the time, was that he wanted to play. So I think it is a great buy for them.
Oh, amazing!
And I think that Silva is probably a good manager. We've never really seen it because he did it with Watford first. He did okay with Everton last year.
He impressed me.
Wait, just a gap.
Last year they were not there.
Just a gap.
He impressed me towards.
We're not leaving
the
a gap for Martin to say they beat United. Oh, okay, move on. It's slowing up in your old age.
You missed that.
I missed that one. I missed my chance.
He needs water. He's dehydrated.
What about Crystal Palace? What do you think their season's going to be like? They lost Wan-Bissaka. I don't know if they replaced him. And they have a player who wants to leave.
Yeah, Zaha.
Zaha.
Former
Man U player.
And Everton just offered them money.
Crystal Palace player.
Everton just offered them money?
Yeah, 65 mil plus Toussaint and McCarthy.
Why Everton is splashing money like that? That's crazy.
I don't know.
It's insane.
For Zaha.
Yeah.
They want to.
You think he'll go?
They got it, right?
You think they'll get him?
Everybody has money.
That's a really interesting offer. That's the first that I've seen that one. Tosin didn't do brilliantly last year, did he? But he is the sort of player who could do okay.
He's a finisher,
Palace.
yeah. He's a finisher.
McCarthy is.
Oh.
But they've often had down at Palace. I mean, Palace. You know that they are on the B list of teams. You know that they're always going to be
C probably.
Yeah. Well, C is relegated. That's Championship. But they are. They're Bob's and up. The thing is that their chairman is a wheeler dealer. Mm-hmm. He likes to get the money. He likes to do. So he could look at a deal like that and go, it's good value. He doesn't want to pay 20%, 25%. It's a fucking shitload of money he's got to pay Man United. Yeah. But he may do that. And that also may be one of those moves where they're agitating for that so that is that plus or is that 65 plus?
Plus 65 mil plus.
Because they want more for Zaha. Yeah. They want more for 85
Zaha. 85 or something like that.
Yeah, because they saw Wan-Bissaka, a fullback, for 50 or 55. So like this guy is worth more. I personally think Wan-Bissaka is a good player, but he is overrated.
Yeah, I mean, But
you mean Zaha?
Zaha, Wilfred Zaha.
Well, we were talking about how one day he shows up, another day he doesn't.
Last season he showed up more often than not.
Right.
The other seasons for Palace, he has definitely been flaky in that sort of sense.
I think he'll probably end up on Arsenal because it looks like they really want him.
But they just
badly.
bought Pepe.
Yeah, but they can play them together. They would have to just.
But then they'll have
Pepe, Lacazette, Aubameyang, and Zaha.
Yeah, and they got like nobody who wants to defend. They got an Ozil in the middle.
I don't think Ozil.
What do you mean they got a man? They got a man who defend against knives. They got a man who'll take you on. He ain't afraid of a few stones.
Oh, what's his name? Or who was
fullback? What's that guy?
What's his name?
Kolasinac.
Kolasinac. Yeah,
Kolasinac.
those guys had knives.
Kalashnikov, you should be called.
That was very impressive. Best defending.
I don't think. He defended his Ozil. Was that Ozil he was
Ozil,
with?
yeah.
And his wife.
That's the only thing I disagree with. He should have let them take Ozil. You know, hold him hostage. And ain't no one paying a ransom. I'll tell you that much.
What are the chances that Ozil's wife is not in love with Kolasinac right now?
Absolutely. I'm just doing some fitness training.
I'll be fine with that.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a. I think, but also who was the other winger from Crystal Palace who went to Everton? The other winger who was there,
Balassi.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
Yannick Balassi.
Yeah.
And
But that was like a year ago, right?
Yeah,
Or
or two. And I mean, Balassi was one of those guys who, I guess, if you had a rating for him on the, the FIFA or any of that kind of stuff, he was rated as like a 6, something. But he had games where he paid a 10.
Yeah.
He was just out of his mind. But he's the kind of guy who would be dribbling with the ball on the touchline and kick it out himself.
With nobody on him.
Fuck? I watched it. I went to Crystal Palace. I was there for what they called Cristanbul. Cristanbul, when Crystal Palace beat Liverpool, and so they didn't win the championship. And it was one of those games where Liverpool
That
were
was
like
3-3, right?
It was
Yeah, it was 3-0 for Liverpool.
They beat them 3-3. You're right.
They beat them 3-3.
Say
And
that again?
Gerrard was, or Suarez was crying.
Crying, but Suarez definitely. Yeah,
Suarez,
it was an amazing game. I mean, it was one amazing game because even a couple of the goals that Palace scored, the Crystal Palace fans were shouting, "We're going to win 4-3. We're going to win." Nobody believed it, for fuck's sake. And all of a sudden, it was like I can't remember, the Irish guy in the middle lumped one up, kind of thing, and it just went in, and you're like, holy shit. And then the second one went in, and you're like going, no. And then, I mean, I swear to God, people weren't cheering when the third goal went in. They were laughing.
That's hilarious.
It was hilarious.
But it's funny you mentioned Balassi, because I remember when he was being put in the same category as Sadio Mane, when Sadio Mane was at Southampton and Balassi was they were comparing them, that they was like at the same level, and look what Sadio Mane is right now.
Yeah, no, but that's the funny thing about probably
Yeah.
sport throughout. But I mean, there is that thing of players who people think they're 16, they're going to be fantastic. But between 16 and 17 and getting to the first team, you don't know. You just can't tell. They didn't know Messi was going to be as good as he is. They didn't.
It looked like they did. Not as good as he is, but they knew he was going to be something.
But there's still people who get to a point and then you just don't hear anything about them.
Right.
You have a player like that. Technically, I would buy him to Tottenham if it was me, but did he really develop the way you wanted him? In Martial, I'm talking about Martial. Did he really develop the way you wanted him to develop?
No, I want him to be better.
And I think he's got to be played in position. I think if he plays through the centre, he'll play really well. He scored more goals than Rashford last year anyway. But I think he needs to play through the centre more often.
Here's my problem with Martial. I think every time he gets the ball, he's trying to imitate that dribble he did against Real Madrid in preseason 2 years ago. I think he's just trying to imitate his own move where he dribble, where everybody's like, oh, well, let's keep him. The move that made Man U because Mourinho wanted to get rid of him, and after that dribble, they're like, oh, there's something here. But I think he tries to. I don't think he thinks intelligent all the time. He thinks athletically, and he just has to combine the two to become a better player.
I think part of the problem that people have with Martial is that. I love how we turn this back to Man United, and it was actually Martin who did.
Yeah, it's Martin. Thank you, Martin. Thank you. I haven't thanked you all day. Thank you.
But it's the fact that especially the first goals he scored for United, they were just so easy.
Right.
He just he just brought two moves, dip a shoulder, go one way, and pass it into the net. And even when he was putting them into the far corner, he wasn't lashing at them. He was literally just choosing the spot and stuff. I think he'll be fine. And again, I think it's about giving people the time he's had a couple of seasons, but he has definitely done that young boy thing of they've played him out of position. Right. And I think between the interchangeability between him and Rashford especially, they can both play.
And they've been doing that
right.
in preseason. They've been switching them up. And
it's the speed of play that Solskjaer clearly wants to use rather than the Lukaku lump. They want to have the ability. The best game Lukaku played against Arsenal when they played him down the right.
Oh yeah,
that was a fantastic game. They played him as a right winger.
And against PSG was a good one.
Yeah.
It's Lukaku. Listen, I don't even think Lukaku's slow. It's like control the fucking ball. You're in the Premiership. Like
it's a stump.
Yeah.
Tree.
It's like when I used to kick the ball off the wall and it come back to me so I can work on my control. Right. He's the wall.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. But he played well for Everton. I mean, you can't deny that.
The greatest shot of Everton was who was their centre half? Who was the captain? Screaming at him. There were two of them. There was Ashley Williams. Mm-hmm. I will never forget Ashley Williams standing at the edge of the penalty area, screaming at Lukaku, standing in the centre circle. Come back, you cunt! You know, and you know,
sounds like Ashley Williams.
Yeah, no, totally. But I mean, that was the problem. He did a little bit more of it for United. But I think
when he got desperate, when he was like, "Oh shit, they're not going to play me.
Maybe I'll play centre half."
yeah, for the other team. That's what he looked like.
Exactly.
And what about Burnley versus Southampton? I don't know I haven't heard much about Burnley this off season.
They sold their like the fans' favorite, the goalkeeper who was their goalkeeper for years, Tom Heaton. They sold him and
to Leicester.
That created a little bit of a local drama.
Oh yeah,
but it's that same thing, isn't it? Those mid-table teams where you have people like the Danny Ings, where's he playing? Is he Southampton or is he Burnley or has he gone back and forth? You know, they're those kind of guys who are real journeymen and stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if Peter Crouch didn't come out of retirement and start playing for Burnley or something. You know, about the only team he hasn't played for. But but they're tough.
He played for Burnley last season.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yes, I think
really?
he did. Yeah, I think they bought him. They bought him in the
winter.
In the winter.
Yeah. But that's where he finished.
The thing about Burnley, when you look at what Sean Dyche does with those journeymen players, who are championship players, a lot of them, who they play a game of football, they are hard to beat, and that's what. I mean, you say you don't pay attention to defense, but that's what good coaches also need to do, is to make themselves hard to beat. It's what the reggae girls needed to do, make themselves hard to beat, nick a goal if you can get it. That kind of. That's what Burnley do well.
And that's what the reggae girls were pretty much set up for, but that's not the style that they played.
Right.
Yeah, they should have adapted once they got into the World Cup to like, all right, this is what we're going to do.
Right.
Yeah.
I think, remember when Wigan won the cap, and there were a couple of seasons where Martinez were keeping them up, like at the end, and they were somehow making it happen that they stayed in the league. But eventually they didn't.
Right.
And I think that will happen with Burnley.
What,
probably this year. Yeah.
They're gonna go down.
Yeah, I think it's time. It's time.
I don't think they're gonna go down. I think. What do you think?
I don't think they're going down. No.
I don't think they're going down. I think they're gonna stay up because they don't have the Europa League this year.
Right. That's true.
And I think they're going to be. They might.
Ever you wanted to devalue the Europa League as mentioned Burnley in the same sentence.
I just think they'll have a better season than they had last year. Probably.
I don't know what were Burnley doing in the Europa League. They've got two vowels in their name. Most of the teams you play are like.
Only Martin can pronounce them.
Exactly. Erglimnikvik. Is that racist? I hope not.
Close enough.
We'll find out after I put this podcast up if it's racist.
Well, go back to the thing, because who was that player? Didn't he play for Wigan? Was it Antonio? Who's the guy who plays for West Ham? He's a beast.
Antonio
Valencia.
No. They're talking about the big black guy.
Yeah. He is.
This Antonio. Yeah,
he's a beast. Yeah. That player. I'm surprised somebody else hasn't bought him.
He's injury prone. He doesn't play in that again.
To me,
is that really what it is?
To me, he's Balassi. The way you describe Balassi,
he's physically super strong.
He'll do some amazing shit, and then he'll just kick out the ball by himself. And I'm like, all right.
And say it was my boot.
Yeah, and then start fiddling with his boots on the sideline.
Yeah.
And what about? So let's go down. So Southampton.
I think they'll be better this season. I think they're actually a very interesting team that will surprise people.
And Hassan Hoodle as well. Yeah. I mean, he's a quality coach, definitely.
Did they get anybody?
I like the coach,
but it's not that they Ings, but for good.
It's not that they didn't get anybody; it's that they didn't sell anybody, and that's like Southampton sells so much. They're gonna sell themselves out the Premier League, but
that's what they do.
That's what they do. But the good thing is, I don't think I didn't hear about anybody buying like Southampton's best players this offseason. So that's why I think they'll be better.
Because they're gone 3 years ago.
But somebody could have bought Ward-Prowse or
Ward-Prowse about the
Redmond.
only
Is it
one,
Redmond? And
yeah, but he's been
is it
around a
that guy?
while. He's been around a while, Redmond.
Right.
He's a good player, but I mean,
Okay.
he's been around a while. And I think he's done that thing of nobody's sure he can get to that next level.
Oh, yeah.
Ward-Prowse, yeah, he's
He's
okay.
hurt us a lot.
He has, but he's also. I mean, that was a good
Interesting
game.
player.
Actually, that was a good game.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good game because we won it. But it was
But even before that, like the season before, when against Mourinho, that motherfucker's hurt us. You know, the way we set up.
who's their Italian player that they
Borini? No.
There was him, but didn't he go? But who's the other guy? Or does he play for? No, the guy who plays for West Ham is I'm thinking of. He plays on the left wing for West Ham.
I know. Shit.
I can't remember.
Oh, I know. He Italian or is it Argentinian? And he sounds Italian.
Maybe. And he got frizzy hair.
Was it Baletta?
No.
He played for West Ham.
No. He's a winger. And he scores goals, and he's got some great talent. And I'm surprised somebody else.
Oh,
hasn't got him.
Lanzini.
That's who I was thinking of.
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, anyway, with Southampton, here's my bold prediction. Because they make so much business, there's so much business going on between Liverpool and Southampton, I think Lallana will end up there during the season. I think they'll bring Lallana back. I think so. Because he won't get a game with Liverpool. I don't think he's far behind.
I don't think he was that great anyway.
Yeah, but he's their guy. He played for in the third division for Southampton. You know, like he went up
How
with
old
them
is
all the way to.
Lallana?
He's like 30 something, I think.
He is?
No,
That guy's that old? I thought
let's
he
check
was
it out.
younger
Let's
than
check it
that.
out.
Maybe I think he
Let's
probably
check
is
it
up
out.
there.
I think
he
he's like
came up.
31.
Who were the two guys that came up? Was it Rodriguez or something that came up at the same time?
Jay
as him?
Rodriguez and Lallana. Yeah.
And Lallana. And when they played together at Southampton, they were death. I mean, they were fantastic.
Yeah.
out there. Yeah.
Lallana. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's 31.
Yeah.
Adam Lallana? I
Yep.
didn't know he was that old.
Yep.
Yeah, he'd been around a while.
He's been around. He played in lower leagues for a while. That's why.
What about Bournemouth versus Sheffield? Like Sheffield, they're up.
I'll tell you something about Bournemouth because I know personally they re-signed this Polish guy Artur Boruk, who's absolutely crazy, 39 years old. He was a former Celtic Glasgow hero, and he was making a sign of cross in front of Rangers team that are Protestant, and making like the creating riots in the stadium when they play big derby in Scotland. I'll tell you this: he drinks openly, he smokes cigarettes every day. He's 39 and just signed another contract in Premier League. So that shows you that there are no rules really in terms of longevity of your career
or moral integrity and all that kind of stuff. No, that's pretty much as bad as doing a Sikh island in front of people.
He's definitely
and
not
stuff,
Mormon.
He's definitely Felipe Anderson. That's who I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
He's
from
Brazilian.
Lazio, from
He's
Lazio.
Brazilian.
He came from Lazio. Yeah.
He's a great player.
Yeah.
He was really good.
What do you think about so Bournemouth? Do you think they'll do better than they did last year, or
Same thing like West
Same
Ham.
thing.
They're that middling team, isn't it? They're going to be in the middle somewhere. They'll get some good results and stuff, and they can put them together. If you're on fantasy football, it's probably worth buying one of their strikers as like your
Wilson,
cheap third striker.
I am on fantasy football. We have to talk about it later.
Absolutely.
did they
Yeah.
keep Callum Wilson? And what about King? Did they keep those guys?
Josh King, did he leave and go somewhere else?
That's a good question.
I'm not
there were a lot
sure.
of rumors regarding this guy. Remember that?
I haven't heard anything about their movement, but I think I've been paying more attention
I know
to
that they're trying to get Wanyama from the Spurs.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that would work. That would work in their side. They
Yeah.
sort of need a bit of that. And although Wanyama's done all right, again, he did great when he was in Scotland because Scotland. I mean, Christ, you could get Celtic could play. Celtic would win the MLS, right? But that don't mean they're any good.
Yeah.
Well-
Sorry, this is an English podcast, right?
I'll tell you this. And I know Ian because we talked about it 2 years ago. They have one player who didn't kind of make it at the big level, and I think both of us were pretty high on him when he was at Liverpool. Jordan Ibe.
Jordan Ibe, yeah.
Yeah, and then he kind of.
I thought it was
disappeared.
pronounced eBay because that's where they bought him.
That's a great.
Somebody
joke.
should have stole that package off the doorstep because it did not work out when they unwrapped it. I'll tell you that.
But that's like last call for him, to show something, I guess.
Totally.
Yeah.
And again, that's the thing is people clearly thought when he was coming through that he was going to be one of those players that do well. And
I swore to friends of mine that this is the next dude, and
Nah.
yeah,
Just didn't do it. Who's that? Is it Glenn Hoddle has one of those academies of players that didn't get picked up, and then they try to give them a second chance kind of thing. And the teams they're going to end up playing for are Norwich, if they get a gig, maybe Bournemouth. But the Bournemouth
Are
manager,
they all luxury players like Glenn Hoddle?
No, not at all. Not at all. They're actually, a lot of them are, it's right across the board from goalkeepers through, just people who didn't make the cut.
Right.
I had a friend whose son got to that. I mean, devastated him. Him. I mean, his dad had made him go to school and get other, qualifications and stuff. But I mean, it fucked him up for like 3 years at least.
Oh, right.
Well, of course, that's what he thought he was going to do for his life.
What's
And
he
he was
doing
close.
now?
He was close.
He was close,
He was
yeah.
close selling drugs. What do you think?
Good lad. Good
Yeah,
lad.
exactly.
Yeah, you figure out.
He's a
Listen, you get
businessman.
pissed. You're adapt. I'm going to make the money I would have made playing soccer somehow.
He's selling drugs to that goalkeeper Martin was talking about. He's using his
I wouldn't say
connections.
it's impossible.
He's using
I wouldn't
his
say it's
connections.
impossible.
So hilarious.
But I'll tell you, so Bournemouth, they play Sheffield United. I'm happy to see Sheffield United back because they're like one of those teams I remember as a kid when they were in the Premier League, and they fell out of Premier League for a long time. And there was this story I read a while ago. It was actually a great story that they almost bought Diego Maradona when Maradona was 17 years old.
Oh,
he
yeah.
almost signed with Sheffield United.
That's funny.
hilarious.
Who played for him
Yeah.
then? There was a couple of players that played back in those days. Then and wasn't there an Argentinian, or we'd have to go back in the history of them. But they did. They did play well back in the old days. They had some issues. I'm not sure I think it was United, not Wednesday. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
They had a guy who was playing for them. Turned out he was like a rapist, and then there was
shit.
there was some big old deal,
Well,
and they were going, "We'll take him back,"
Well, the guy that he's in jail right now, he was a England player, right? He played for City. What's his name?
Oh
I
yeah,
think I
they
know
can play
you're
for Sunderland as well.
Adam Johnson.
Yeah, they can.
Adam Johnson. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
in
yeah.
jail now.
Oh yeah, he was an
Pedophilia,
England
yeah.
international.
He
How
was
long is this
international.
bid?
I mean, she was 15. Come on. No,
How-
I'm sorry.
I'm not saying
No,
anything.
no, the guy was just stupid. The guy was so stupid. He was all text stuff and all sexting and all that kind of stuff.
And he knew her
and he
age?
knew her age. Of course, he knew her age.
But and
for
you can
Christ's
get
sake.
woman. You're England international.
Thank you. Absolutely.
What's wrong with you?
But that's just, dumb. Well, I mean, he's a footballer, Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, the thing with footballers is they're not like American footballers who have to kind of like remember all the moves and the kind of the numbers and which way I'm going and doing all this kind of thing. They don't exercise that grey matter at all. It's just
right.
pure natural. And it used to be back in the day where their upper body, there was nothing. There was just nothing.
yeah,
Footballers.
nothing.
George Best, it was like these skinny little arms, no pecs or anything. Nothing at all. And it's the same up here for a lot of them. They don't have to learn shit, so they're kind of,
Yeah, and they're young too. But that guy, man,
No, that's stupid.
that's a huge ass mistake.
Yeah, it is.
He's
Well,
done. He's done.
What about Watford and Brighton?
Just one thing about Sheffield. So
Okay.
they got Phil Jagielka. So Phil Jagielka will be there.
So they won
Big
the
name.
lottery to
Is he
get
gone
Phil
back?
Jagielka.
Has he gone back?
Yeah.
Really?
He's-
Oh, that's
Saturday,
where he's
right?
from.
He was originally Sheffield United, was he?
I don't remember. I'm not
No,
sure.
I'm pretty certain
Maybe.
he was from. I think so.
That's a big name, though. I mean, the guy who played how many games for England? Like,
There's a Phil
A lot.
Jagielka story. David Moyes came into Man United and he said to Rio Ferdinand, he said, "Listen, here's this DVD. Here's this DVD of Phil Jagielka. I want you to watch this and do what he did." And Rio went, "Phil fucking
God.
what? Was he ever fucking won? I've won the fucking Champions League. I've won the fucking Premier League. Phil Jagielka, was he ever fucking won?
No, that didn't
a
happen.
bet on the horses, apparently. Well, I don't know. It was
Who did Rio say that?
it's been said
It's
that
been
it happened, and that was one of the things that meant.
unbelievable.
And this was right after Ferguson, who was the great man manager, right?
But the truth to be said, he took Rio Ferdinand's spot on England. Like Rio didn't get called, right, for one of the tournaments. What was it?
That's right. He
They called Jagielka instead of Ferdinand. It was a big deal.
Yeah.
did they win?
Yeah, how did
No.
that work
No.
out?
It
Yeah.
was Euro 2012, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
All right, let's run through real quick. What about Watford? Any feelings about Watford? They were a lot of trouble last year.
Yeah.
They could give you a run for your money. They started the season out hard. They had their dips, but they're pretty decent.
They've always had some great players in there. They have some great verve players in there. And Troy Deeney is a great captain.
He was in jail too. He was in jail as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was for what?
was.
I don't know
Whose
what
pie
was
did
in.
he
I
steal?
don't know.
No, he was just fighting a lot as a
Right,
kid.
I think
so he
that's
was in
what
a
it is.
fight.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
That's normal.
That is normal.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
normal.
He talked about it, like he had a podcast where he talked about like when he was very violent, as a kid.
Redemption
Yeah,
and all
yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Oh,
But
yeah.
he's a
In
great player.
gangs and
He's
stuff.
a great player. I mean, didn't he get sent off the other day for elbowing somebody as he
Yeah.
went by? It was like a drive-by elbow. You know? It was in one of the
Yeah, he's a
games.
wild-
He could
he's
have
a
like
wild guy,
one of those as he's going by and
It's
hoping
hilarious.
the 24 cameras around the stadium wouldn't see it. kind
Yeah,
of
what
thing,
are
you know?
players thinking?
I don't know. Half the time, like, do you forget that there's a fucking camera?
No.
I think I don't know.
Nah.
I know they don't. I'm like, then why do you do that?
Yeah,
Because
really.
there's a reminder every week and midweek when you see other players getting in trouble for shit that they thought the camera wouldn't pick up. So what makes you think you're special?
Goes back to the grey matter argument.
Yeah.
Think
don't-
they do forget. I think they do forget.
I think you just.
They think they're still playing in the park.
They did.
and you can get away with shit.
I think they still think they're playing 10 years ago the way they grew up
Right.
watching it.
Right.
And they think, even if they're not that old, they're like, back in the day, they're
Well, it
still
was
not used to
coached.
it.
It was coached. I know coaches would tell you that when you were get into the wall next to the guy and grab his balls, you
Yeah.
know,
Oh, yeah.
and then when you're up behind him, kind of thing. Don't grab his shirt, grab the skin. Make sure.
How about
skin.
a finger up your ass?
Well,
I've seen that.
Yeah, that shit.
In the Copa
yeah.
America.
Yeah, that
In the
shit.
Copa
Fuck, they
America.
do that shit.
Yeah, I've seen and that guy flipped out and he got sent off.
you remember Gordon Strachan? I actually met him at a hotel close to Heathrow Airport the other day. And I was saying, I want to ask you, is this story true? When he was the manager of Coventry City, one of the defenders said, he said, get closer, for fuck's sake, get closer to me. He said, how close is close enough? He says, if your cock's not up his arse, you're not close enough.
And what did he say? True? He said it.
He said it. Well, he's going to take credit for a funny one, isn't he? Even if it was some other manager. I mean, as a stand-up comedian, you work on a bill with people and you come off stage and people say, I love that joke you did about being a white woman. And you're going, oh, yeah, thank you.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. What about Brighton? Brighton Hove?
They will be in trouble. In my
Are they
opinion.
candidates?
No, they're definitely candidates.
And
They're
they got
losing
rid
their
of
center.
Knocker?
They're losing
I
their
think they're
center
going
back.
down.
They're to me they're
Yeah.
the fuck you team of the season. Like fuck you.
They beat-
you got rid
they beat
of
Man U
Chris
as well.
Hughton. Oh, jeez.
First game of the season, wasn't it?
Second, I think.
They got rid of
Murray
Chris
scored a
Hughton.
goal, right?
Yeah,
Fuck
yeah.
you. I don't care. I rooted for you. I'm done with you.
My cousins, they live in Brighton, and he takes his boys to Brighton, and they're just like, but they've been watching them for the last few seasons, so they've seen the rise as they've gone up, and it's not, and the manager, the owner, the chairman has done brilliantly to build a stadium and take. Brighton always used to be. Remember, Brighton played Man United in an FA Cup final like in the 1980s, mid 1985 or something like that. I know it's before you were born and shit, but they were known, and Brighton, the town, was like known as like Jersey.
It's
It's
the
full of
beach
criminals, but it's full of criminals,
Oh,
and
okay.
all the people on the board of directors of the club were like really dodgy and everything, and so they've kind of cleaned that up, and they've gotten a decent thing, and they've done well, but. He clearly isn't. He got rid of Chris Hughton, which one thing Chris Hughton was capable of doing because he did it with Newcastle is keeping him up.
Right.
Well, not always, but they
Norwich, right?
and maybe Norwich too.
Yeah.
But he's a lower and a middler kind of manager. He's never
Disciplinarian.
But you have to keep
Right.
you have to be the keep 'em up guy if your team owner and chairman are not going to spend money for
Well,
you
they're
to
not.
do more.
Right,
So it's like you're paying for what you want. You're paying for what you want.
You're paying for no, absolutely. You
And
buy certain amounts of
yeah.
success.
So it's like, what do you want them to do?
And the only way that Brighton would get better is if they and it's the kind of thing just to go back to Bournemouth is if I can't remember his name. What's the manager's name? But
I know you're talking about.
If he was taken, Eddie Howe.
Eddie.
If they took a manager like Eddie Howe and put him in a place like Brighton, it would give them the opportunity to build a team. But he's been
If they wanted to spend the money.
but they'd have to spend not masses because it's clearly Eddie Howe at Brighton has brought in a lot of great talent. Journeyman talent who have done very well.
Murray.
What's the funny thing about like
But they just
Bournemouth?
sold Knockaert and he was one of their best players.
And they're selling Dunk to replace Maguire in Leicester City.
Right. So
that was
on their way
the
down.
defender they had.
Yeah, on their way
yeah,
down.
yeah, Xavier's right.
What about? Did we talk about? What about Villa? Villa spent a lot of money.
I will tell you what Villa should do this weekend. get like fake sickness and just not show up because they're gonna get steamrolled.
I spent many a Saturday afternoon at Villa Park. I had a friend who was a big Villa fan.
Is it Lloyd?
And his Lloydie. Right.
Yeah, I've been to more Villa games than Man U games.
There you go.
I talk to Lloyd every week.
Lloyd's on. He's always sending fucking shit on there, taking the piss out of Man United. Yeah, but good old Lloydie. Yeah. He's like, hey, come on, let's go. He's a great buddy. He would be so proud of watching. Does you listen to this, right?
Yeah, sometimes.
Lloydie,
but we
just want to say, fuck you.
Yeah, he knows Lloyd because I talk about Lloyd all the time.
Yeah. And John's daughter Ella was the mascot for Benteke. One game a few seasons ago when Ella was little.
Oh, yeah?
And, she went out as the mascot kind of thing, holding his hand and stuff. He scored. Son of a bitch scored 2 goals
and it's never
day.
been the same since.
Yeah, that's right. He needs Ella. he needs John Simmet daughter, I tell you.
That's what it is.
But Lloydie, we used to go and watch games, and there was some I think maybe they won once back then, and they were always struggling. And they had some good players, but they just kind of haven't had the good management.
Another team that sold too much, but now they got rich owners. I think they have an American owner and Asian.
They did before because they had was it not Randy Lerner? No, it was another one. It was one of the other football things, but I don't know who they have now.
Right, they got rich owners. They got money. Then they got the Premiership money, and they spent over £100 million this year.
And they still got John Terry, right?
He retired. I think he retired.
Yeah. No, not playing. He was the assistant at the playoff with
Derby.
Derby. It was the whole thing of Lampard
and Lampard and John Terry. That's so crazy.
And everybody was joking when Villa won one of their playoff games. Everybody was saying, "So John Terry going to put on the kit and come running out, even though he didn't play, because he did that at Chelsea when they won the Champions League. He was banned. He was banned, and he was in the stand. But he put on the kit and came out to do the lap and everything.
That's hilarious.
I'd have done the same.
I would have done the same thing.
Exactly.
I'll tell you. One thing about Villa, because they have some money, so they still didn't spend that much, and Sturridge was one of the players they looked at, and I know that Wayne Rooney wants to come back, and because I know that he does, and he'll probably end up with Derby. He'll end up in the Championship. Yeah, I know that he tried to come back to Man U and try to be a player and assistant to all at the same time, but I don't think that United wanted him back.
Love you, Rooney,
he will end up with Derby probably.
I love him for everything that he did, and I think he was much maligned as a player, but clearly he's drinking hard now.
Yeah.
And
still for Villa, he would be good, I think.
For DC United, he's done brilliantly to do the things that he's done, but it's the MLS, and that's a different ball game altogether.
Yeah. For Aston Villa, I think he would still be all right.
No.
I'm with David. Bro.
I don't think you can do it. I don't think you can plug somebody. Rooney, when he was great as a forward, had he played in midfield then, he would have been brilliant. But what happened is he did that thing of moving further back and further back and further back, and I just don't think he's got it in his legs now.
Yeah, he didn't have it in his legs.
Defoe made a third comeback of his career, and he was still productive.
Listen, man, Villa's
at
style.
The age of 37.
Villa's style. When I talk to Lloyd and Villa's style, it's fast, it's youth. Listen, that Rooney cannot fit on.
What about Sturridge?
Look what Zlata's doing in the MLS.
Right.
Yeah,
that's the point. It's fucking the MLS. That's what I'm saying. Exactly. I don't think if you.
Vela, he was doing it before. Playing with everybody here. Like Vela is toying with opponents. Carlos Vela.
But I think if you put him out in Europe, he won't do the same shit anyway in Europe.
Who?
Vela.
Carlos Vela. Yeah.
The guy who plays for
LFC.
The Mexican player. He'd been shit when he was even playing for a decent team. He was shit.
That's what I'm saying. It's just because they're here.
It's
just because they're here.
In Spain for Sociedad, he was all right.
All right.
At Arsenal, he didn't really play very well. Yeah, because he's young too.
He was young at Arsenal.
Very young at Arsenal.
There's some moments when I respect what you say, Martin.
He was great at the World Cup.
He'll do that to you a lot. Get used to it. He's a roller coaster of emotions.
In the World Cup?
Yeah, he was pretty good at Villa in the World Cup.
I think. Never mind Villa. I hope that they do, enough to stay up there, because they're one of the original teams to form the Football League originally. They don't give it by anybody anything, but if they have the money that is being spent and they keep it to youth, I think that they'll do well. And if they can just hang on by their fingertips for a couple of seasons, like Everton used to, and just slowly build, because they have the support, which a lot of people don't do.
It's a big team. I'll tell you, because in 2003 I went to Birmingham, because my friend Piotr Świerczewski, he was former captain of Polish national team, he signed from Olympique Marseille on loan, but immediately Steve Bruce put him on not even on the bench, he was in the stands. So he went to Birmingham Derby together, and we were standing like behind. He was playing for Birmingham. I mean, not playing for Birmingham, but he was a Birmingham player. They had Dugarry at the time. And they were playing at home against Aston Villa, and they lost 2-0. I think Darius Vassell scored like 2 goals or something like that.
Yeah.
And fans started like throwing stuff. So he's like, okay, 5 minutes till the end. We have to make it before they start throwing stuff. And when we were walking down, we saw and almost got hit a couple of times by fans throwing, angry fans.
At him?
No, at
just anybody, the
just
club players
because,
and everybody,
because
right?
The tension of that derby game was incredible.
Yeah, and that's amazing. That's one of those things about football, that that's people who live in the same house.
Yeah.
Who are, it's split. It's the same thing. It doesn't happen as violently with Liverpool and Everton, but Birmingham City, the Bluebirds have been, the Bluebirds are Cardiff City, and somebody else. Birmingham are. They are a violent bunch of supporters. They really do their shit, And then you have that rivalry between West Brom, Wolves, Villa, and Birmingham, And Birmingham have always been the shittest team, and they've always had like the hardest fans kind of thing.
And West Brom, who's technically Birmingham team, but nobody takes them seriously, even if at some point they were more successful than both Villa and Birmingham. But nobody really takes them seriously with the fan base.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they've been until Wolves came up. West Brom were the only one of those Midlands teams that were doing what they were doing and stuff.
Yeah, it's just in terms of supporters, like the real football fans support either Birmingham or Aston Villa.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. But Wolves have their own. I mean, it's a different town, but Wolves have a really good support system. I mean, and they're doing great.
Yeah, they're doing great. What do you think Leicester's going to do? They sold us Maguire.
Listen,
but they still got a good manager.
Yeah.
And they got Tillemans. They sealed him in. And did they buy anything else?
They're buying Dunk from Brighton to replace
But
Maguire.
this is where I think Leicester fucked up, because they made this deal
too late
for to take so long that they don't have the time to spend this money.
Right.
No, they're spending for Dunk.
Come on, really?
40 mil.
Dunk.
For Dunk.
You look at me in the eye. The Dunk.
No, that's the guy who won.
Dunk is a donut.
Yeah, that's all. Literally.
They pay big money for him. That's
we paid big money for Maguire, but what he's saying
you gave away $30
million. You could buy. The guy cost 17 or something like that. So you've got 70 million. Sorry, bad math. $60 million of pure profit that you can spend buying. You could buy 2 or 3. You could probably buy 2 or 3 people from Ajax,
for
that.
Exactly. So it's like, but you wasted the time. The window's going to be closed in 4 days. You could have sold him for 75. I just say time sometimes is equal to money, and they're like pushing and trying to get more and inch it up and this and that. It's like, hey, we're going to still get our guy, but you're going to fuck yourselves, and you got a Dunk.
You're right. And listen, the Everton
good luck.
They got slammed.
That shows you that you can sign players of that caliber.
Maybe what
you blew $30 million
unless they surprise us, and
they have. Is great.
You just gave away 30.
Dunk is not going to win you. The league. I mean, the fact of the matter is, they need to.
Neither will Maguire.
They need to put in. No, I think, but that's part of a team. He's slotting into a team that's going to do better, I would think, than Leicester will.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I think Leicester are going to be in the middle. I mean, and that's one of the things about, I don't want to bring it back around to Man United again, but one of the things we'll give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer time is that we're not going to get relegated. Yeah. That's not going to happen. We got time to rebuild in that sense.
But 6 feels like relegation to us, though, and that's the fans' panic at that.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, but in terms of that's ridiculous. Holding out that long to sell.
Yeah.
Unless they've already done the deals.
Do business.
Unless they've already done the deals.
But you know what? I'll give you a good example why I believe in Rodgers, because he overachieved.
I believe in a good team.
You remember they had a guy at Swansea who only played 1 great season in his entire life, and then he retired like 3 years later. It was a Spanish guy. What was his name? He scored like 20 goals for Swansea when Rodgers was there. Started with C.
Was this in the championship?
No, when they were in the Premier League. He was like the third best scorer of the season.
It was Rodgers left and Martinez went there. Was it the other way around?
It might have been the other way around.
Was it
Swansea Spanish star.
Right, I can't remember.
Michu, something like that. No.
Oh yeah, well Michu was the Tottenham player, wasn't he?
No.
No, I know who you mean. I can't remember. Yes, I know who you mean.
2012 or something, or 11. 2011. Michu, no, that was his name, Michu.
Michu?
Wait, that's
What's he doing?
No one on there. Those are 2011.
Maybe 2012 then.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, his name was Michu.
Okay. Yeah, no, I remember him.
Michu, yeah,
There
here
it
you go.
is.
18 goals. Michu, yeah.
Yeah.
And then he disappeared. He had one amazing season.
So you're saying it's because of Rodgers?
No, I mean, they've got someone that we don't know of that will have a season like that. So.
Well, Rodgers. Yeah, no, you're right.
Well, they got a lot of youth players that they brought up last year, and people, some appetizing young dudes. But the coach who they fired, Claude, was it Puel, the vampire, Claude the Vampire Puel?
Fly from was he at Leicester? Yeah.
Yeah. He's the one that started integrating, but he also started alienating some of the veteran players like Vardy and all that. So, but this guy Rodgers is an upgrade, and
he came into Swansea. I think it was after Martinez. Martinez built a team,
Yeah.
which Rodgers came in and made them and galvanized them and made them look fantastic. And clearly, when he left, it all fell apart again.
They
He
had
didn't really good at
Laudrup.
right.
Michael Laudrup.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But
Martinez was at Wigan.
Reagan.
Yeah, but he was at Swansea before.
I think he was at Swansea.
He built the Swansea.
Wigan Athletic.
No. Yeah, that's where he went from Swansea.
That's
To
where he went
the
Then
Premiership,
he went
yeah.
to Everton for sure.
Yeah, because he left to get into the Premiership.
Because I know they had Laudrup as well.
Right.
Michael Laudrup.
They did, but
there.
that was very brief. That was
Yeah.
very brief. But Rodgers is a good manager. There's no question about that. If he can do the same thing here and galvanize the old, the team. There was talk about buying back the guy from Chelsea at one point as well.
They bought
not
players from
Kante.
Newcastle, right?
They did. They got
Ayoze
Ayoze Perez.
Yeah.
A great player. Did really good at Newcastle. No.
I don't know if you're being sarcastic.
Although he was very bad for Newcastle, but sometimes he had a game where
Ayoze
he
Perez
felt
was
like
the best player there. I'm serious. No,
No,
I'm being serious.
Almiron was the best player.
Let's go
Yeah,
to.
it still is. Yeah.
Almiron? No, I
Yeah,
don't
of
think
course.
so. He didn't prove himself yet. Maybe this year he'll do something.
I think I like
But
him.
what is he gonna do? So you got Newcastle. Is it Bruce?
Bruce, yeah.
Yeah. I know. We got to get out. Is it Steve Bruce?
Yep.
Yeah.
What do you think? Let's just do Newcastle and we out. And then
I think they're in danger of although they have money now to spend, they're spending some money, so we'll see.
when they got 4 days to spend it.
They bought someone.
Steve Bruce is one of those guys.
They bought someone.
Steve Bruce is one of those guys who, he's like computers, technology. That's not football. Right?
Yeah.
So he's kind of like
Yeah.
replacing. They're like replacing a man. Benitez being replaced by Steve Bruce is like
Hilarious.
taking off a jet engine and putting in a rubber band. And now he's a hero and a legend at Man United, but he
As a player.
exactly.
This
But-
is why I don't like Paul Ince. Like he was going off the other day, but he's the one when they fired Mourinho was suggesting Man U hire Bruce. I go fuck yourself. Who was Ince for? He's a Arsenal player.
No, he was a United.
United,
player.
and then he
I
went to
supported-
West Ham.
I supported
I think
hiring
it
him.
was
I
it
think you
West
should've.
Ham, then
You should
United.
hire
Yeah,
him.
of course you.
West Ham, then United, and then the heinous crime, he went to Liverpool.
Liverpool. So
Right.
that's
He
just
said-
Liverpool.
Fergie said-
That's why you could tell he's a Liverpool fan.
Right.
I'll tell you a funny
through
story
and
about
through.
Steve Bruce.
We don't have the time.
Okay, so I used to have his phone number.
We literally don't. I just got a signal.
I used to have his phone number when I started, and I called him once when he was on the bench as a coach. Yeah,
And he
By
answered?
accident. Yes.
That's funny.
Great coaching.
I
Great
think that's the
coaching.
best way to dial Steve Bruce's with your butt.
And then
does the
Chelsea,
first game go?
what do you think of Chelsea? Let's
Chelsea.
just do Chelsea and then we out.
Pulisic.
I think
he will have a great
he's going to
season.
do way better than
How can
people
you
think.
bring in an ex-player as your manager and think they're going to do any good? Wait a minute. Who are we talking about?
It's hilarious.
I think Pulisic will be good.
I think
player.
Pulisic will be good. I think Lampard, it's a perfect fit for him, but are the fans going to be patient? We'll see.
And that's really what you need. But a Chelsea friend of mine says, he does the statistics of how many managers they've had. Some, like 23 or something like that over a period. And during that period of time, they won a Champions League. They've won the Premiership. Yeah. They've gone on and done stuff. So clearly, maybe it don't matter. Maybe the headless chicken is just as good as anything else.
Although losing Hudson-Odoi to a season-ending injury, that's going to be a big problem.
Oh, so he's injured?
Yeah.
Who?
Hudson-Odoi, right?
The guy that wouldn't sign the contract is injured?
Yeah.
He didn't do anything from last year, really, so I don't think it's going to be a miss. It will be. The thing about Chelsea is going to be most interesting is seeing how Lampard does. I'm interested to see how that happens, how that works, I mean, let's be honest, when we're talking about managers and ex-players and stuff, because people always bring up Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Swansea, the thing with Frank Lampard, let's remember, he's now best known as a manager for not getting his team into the Premier League. So let's see how he does. I think he'll do okay.
It actually worked out better for him, because if he'd have got them in there, he'd be more inclined to. It would have been tough. Maybe. No, actually, maybe not. He's like, hey, I got you into the Premier League, and now I'm leaving you.
And he's got a good assistant, the rapist.
Are you guys going to take
the
W?
assistant?
What's his name? Jody Morris?
The youth coach?
Jody Morris, that guy. No, not him. No, Jody Morris was one of the guys who during that period as a player was like caught with, maybe she wasn't underage, but he was doing, the girl claimed rape in a car, out in the bush somewhere or something. Like that.
Are you guys going to win?
Are we going to win? I hope so. How about that?
Well, you guys talking really good about Chelsea over here for.
It will be a draw.
It's maybe a draw. Yeah. What do you think?
No,
Chelsea?
we're going to win.
We're going to win? All right.
Yeah, we're going to win.
You got anything you want to plug?
Sure. Read 442. I have a thing with Shaka Hislop and with Benjamin Pavard there.
Nice.
Anything you want to plug?
Yeah, 442. It's a really good. He's got a thing.
Thank you.
If you don't like facts, read 442.
No, I will read 442. Shaka was Shaka full of shit, man. He's a trini. What the fuck does he know about football?
He's a con man on that ESPN. He's a pundit out here on ESPN.
I know.
It's
I like
funny.
him.
He's funny.
No,
he's funny pundit.
He's decent. He's
all right.
He's actually pretty good. Anything you want to plug?
I got a show in Bakersfield Barbecue, Brooklyn's Barbecue. It's August 17th. It's me, Eddie Bravo, and Sam Tripoli. And that's pretty much it. Just follow me on Actually Marks the Spot, and it's pretty much it.
All right. And check me out on Instagram at Ian Edwards Comic. Go to Comedy Central, and you can watch my special, Bill Burr Presents Ian Talk. So it's free now. You could just go to stream it like normal at the Comedy Central website. And if you want to see my dates, go to ianedwardscomedian.com, click shows, and you'll see all my dates.
You want to see my dates? Just go check America's Most Wanted. Or Jamaican Paleface on Instagram.
Jamaican Paleface on Instagram. Thank you. Great guest. Thank you.
Thank you.
New season. Good luck. Good luck.
Good luck.
We're winning, man.
I hope so.
We'll be fine.
And thank you, Aaron Brongard. Thanks for being. Is he in there, Aaron? Did that get in there?
I'll tell you this.